What's up, Raider Nation? What is going on? Welcome to the first ever after show special of a Will to Win broadcast. We just got done airing our pilot episode, and we're just really excited to be here tonight. At least I know I am. I'm freaking out. I'll get to how badly I'm freaking out in just a second, but I want to let you guys know who's with me. Joining me tonight on the after show is the co-founder and one of our senior analysts, Raider Pirate.
What's going on, Raider Nation? Good to be here.
All right, and joining all the way from the UK, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning over there. He's being real dedicated to us, and we really appreciate his services. Raider Lion, all the way from the UK. What's up, brother?
What's up, everyone? How's it going?
It's going good.
It's going awesome, guys. Let me tell you what, man. I've been laughing for the last probably 20 minutes. I'm shaky. I got a lot of anxiety. I've been dreaming of this moment for a very long time. Even before we started developing this show, this is something that I've wanted forever. Like when I first started YouTube, I wanted something serious, something real, a real broadcast, a real news thing, and we got it tonight, man. And it's only the pilot episode, so I mean, there's a lot more to come, Raider Nation. This is our first run at it. Just wanted to put something out there. But man, I'm freaking out. I'm so happy. When I did this reboot, I never thought I would actually have what we have right here, and I owe it all to Raider Pirate. He's the glue that puts it all together, and I'm gonna throw him the mic because this is his baby. Raider Pirate, man, what's your thoughts? Your pilot episode, it's out, it's there.
Yeah, man. No, I'm excited about it too. Again, we just want to let everybody know, that this is just a taste of what it is that a real episode is going to look like. So. That's why we sort of are kind of calling this, it's kind of like a promo episode. So it's going to show you the format of the show. I've already gotten a couple of emails asking for a little bit more content, asking us if the show was going to be a little bit more like the traditional show, which the Oakland Night has had. But we're going to get to that. We're going to have more content. Again, we're trying to have conversations. But in the time frame, because of the short weekend, we felt it was best just to kind of let you guys kind of take a test drive almost. Get in the car, smell the car, see what it's like, hear the sound of the engine. Just get an idea before you go ahead and drive it off the lot. So it was a blast. I've been having a blast doing it. I've been working with great guys. Both Knight and Lion have been putting in just a ton of stuff. So no, absolutely, I'm having a blast. Raider Lion, you got anything to add?
No, as I just said to you guys the other day, it's an absolute honor to be a part of this and to represent the nation in such a way. And you can see, and hopefully everyone can see from this pilot episode, it's going to be a brilliant thing, but we're just developing it and working on it. And honestly, the work that you two have put in, Pirates and Night, it looks like this is going to be something fantastic over time, and I can't wait to see the final product of it.
Yeah, we just want to put it out there, guys. The format that you're seeing out there, this is the way it's going to run. This is the way we're going to do it. It's going to be a lot of what we're going to develop. What the news is for the week. We're going to put out the show. It's going to be a run, almost like you're watching ESPN and NFL Network. We're going to produce content. And then right after it airs, we're going to put it out at 5:30 on Fridays, roughly 5:30, right? You guys know how YouTube works. It does, we're going to get it down and get it to publish when we want it to. But so around by 5:30, the episode will air on Fridays. And then an hour after it airs, depending on how long the video is, we'll make sure we let you guys know. We'll set a good time of when we're going to jump on and do an after show after every episode. So if those are wondering, are you guys going to do the same thing the Night did? Yes, we're doing it right now. This is where we're going to talk about the episode, what we just aired, what you guys just watched, and give you guys, the fans, the opportunity to message us in the comment section, start sending us emails, and if you see right under here, right under my name right there, it says the Will to Win, and then right under it, there's a phone number, ladies and gentlemen. It is 805-907-9192. That's 805-907-9192. Give it a call. Leave your name and where you're coming from. We'll try to get you on air. It's first come, first serve. You guys could call in and actually talk to us, express your feelings, ask us questions, and just remember, keep it brief because there's a lot of people that might want to call. Whoever's watching live that wants to, ring the phone line. We haven't named the phone line yet. We're probably the scoop line. You want to give us a scoop on what you guys think, call the scoop line. Once again, that's 805-907-9192. So we hope you guys call in. You also can leave questions. I don't know if you're on your phone, if the comment box is working. And guys, make sure when you call that you're not watching us live, so make sure you mute it. If you have, mute it before you call in and go live on air, if you're lucky enough to get on air. So, yeah, this is the time. We're still going to be doing the same thing. So to start it off while we're waiting for messages and phone calls, why don't we go ahead and talk about, let's talk a little bit more about Jihad Ward. Raider Lion, you did a bio on it. What is your thoughts about Jihad Ward?
Yeah, you can see on my channel I did kind of like an immediate pre-draft kind of analysis of him, and also in the latest episode I did about a minute's kind of preview of what I expect from him. And honestly, it's something that I'm excited about. I'm excited to see what he does on the field. I'm excited to see how he produces, especially considering the kind of how he's done in training and training camp over the last couple of days. Scott Blair has been reporting quite a few times, along with a couple of other people, that he's been able to beat Kelechi Osunwele several times for sacks. I mean, supposedly Kelechi Osunwele started a fight with him because Jihad Ward started to get over cocky because he beat him 2 plays in a row to get a sack. So it's starting to see like Jihad Ward is starting to exert his presence. I mean, everyone was probably a little bit skeptical because he was more of an athlete than an actual football player when we drafted him, but his upside is absolutely huge. And for us, with I think our defensive line coach is Sensori, Ken Sensori, I believe it is.
Which one was that? I'm sorry?
Our defensive line coach. He's probably one of the best in the league at developing young talent. And what he's able to have done with Mario Rodriguez Jr. last year, if he's able to repeat the feat with Jihad Ward, it should be something special to see. And on that note, I really do hope that Mario Rodriguez Jr. returns fully healthy and can compete and come back for as strong, because he had a brilliant season last year at times, and it was sad to see him go down with such a bad injury, especially considering it was genetic.
Yeah, it'll definitely make our line that much even stronger, and I'm really, really, really excited about that. Lion, excuse me. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm really excited tonight. Pirate, what's your thoughts, Jihad Ward?
Looks like we actually have a call coming in.
All right, well, hold that thought. Let's see what we got.
Hello, caller. You're on. I'm sorry, repeat that?
I want to call in and see what you guys thought about us carrying 2 long snappers on the roster this year. Do you think that we're missing a spot somewhere else? Do you think we're actually going to carry both of them on the live roster? What do you guys thought on that?
Okay, caller, I'm sorry, what did you say your name was and where are you calling from?
This is the Autumn Wind from 209.
The Autumn Wind from 209 is asking, do you think that we're going to be carrying 2 long snappers the entire season, and if we do, where do you think that we're going to be losing some depth at another position?
Do you mind if I chime in?
Go right ahead, Lion.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just think, considering that John Kondo got an injury at the back end of last season, I more just think it's insurance for him, because he is getting on in age quite a bit. He's getting up there. I think he's, 33 or something like that. So he is getting on to the numbers, and he's getting up there. So it's more just an insurance for, I think, training camp and going into possibly just the early parts of pre-season. But it's not traditionally a position that you keep 2 people in, especially with the depth that the Raiders have now, and especially with the strength, I think, of our undrafted free agents. I'd be very surprised if we did keep on 2.
Yeah, considering that a couple of years ago we got ourselves in a situation where Kondo went down and we had nobody to replace him in that game, and it didn't turn out pretty. So I like the idea of carrying 2 long snappers, but you are going to sacrifice another position, and then the question becomes, what part? Because when we view this offense, or excuse me, this team, you know, we talk about having depth at receiver. You need depth in the trenches for sure, and definitely our secondary. After what we went through last year, we definitely need to make sure that our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed there. But you know, me and Pirate talked about a couple weeks ago that our linebacking core is going to look a lot different than your traditional linebacking core. I mean, 3 great linebackers that we have. We talk about them more being defensive ends than we actually do being linebackers. So I think you're going to see, if we do, you know, stick with the two long snappers, I think you just see us mixing our linebackers with our defensive ends a lot. That would be my thought.
Yeah, you know what? It actually wasn't even a couple of years ago. It was last year, wasn't it? Against San Diego or something where. Yeah, where was it a couple of years ago?
And then we had to go for a 2-point conversion because we didn't want to kick the extra point.
Right. That's where Travis. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. You know, so, and I think when they talked to him, I think when they came to the sidelines, they were saying that, you know, the emergency guy who was the emergency guy, you know, was injured as well. I mean, didn't we have like 2 or 3 guys that were supposed to be doing, or I know we had 2 guys that were supposed to be doing it, and both of them were hurt. So I don't understand, you know, long snapping doesn't seem, even though it's a skill, obviously, and when you see certain guys like John Kondo do it, and it looks beautiful. I mean, he's firing a spiral, you know, 15 yards back. Yeah, it's an amazing thing, but it just doesn't seem like it should be that difficult of a thing to do if you have somebody that's a fringe player. A lot of times we're seeing these guys getting picked up as free agents, and what do they say? Oh, if you're going to make your bones on this team, you're going to make it on special teams. Well, why can't one of those guys, one of those special teams linebackers, you know, a guy that's not just strictly a tight end, but a guy that's doing some different things, also be able to learn how to long snap? Not just somebody who long snaps, not just – I think Kondo – what is Kondo listed as, a tight end or a linebacker? But I mean, but I don't think he's ever, you know what I mean, ever lined up at tight end or has ever caught a pass, you know what I mean? So obviously he's strictly a long snapper. And to me, with the 53-man roster, you would think that they would be like the caller says, like Autumn Wind says, you would think that they would be assigning that duty to somebody that they were sure was going to be on the roster.
And on that note, Pirate, Autumn Wind, if you could hear me, what Autumn Wind are you? I know a couple of Autumn Winds. There's an Autumn Wind 96 that does YouTube, and there's Autumn Wind Williams, he's an amazing ambassador for the Raider Nation and the Stay in Oakland movement. Are you any one of those? Can he hear me, Pirate?
Oh, you know what? That's why. Yeah. So, caller, can you hear the Oakland Knight?
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead and talk again, Knight.
Autumn Wind. I know a few Autumn Winds in the Raider Nation. There's one Autumn Wind 96 that does YouTube videos, and there's also an Autumn Wind Williams who's a great ambassador for the Stay in Oakland movement. Got a Facebook page. He's really, really awesome. He's a super fan. Which one are you? Are you one of those?
Yeah, I didn't get much of that. I just want to say you guys have something good going on here, and I'll call back in next week and we'll have a different discussion.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for calling.
All right.
Bye-bye.
I've just literally thought about this now, so I'll just chime in with this. It's very similar with like comparing whether you keep multiple long snappers to keeping, say, multiple quarterbacks. And it's always the decision at the start of the year whether you have 2 or 3 quarterbacks on a roster. And last year we only had 2, and our third quarterback was actually Michael Crabtree. He was listed as our third quarterback to come in if Matt McGloin went down. So it is the idea of potentially just having multiple people who can play multiple things. Maybe even trying out, say, John Feliciano as a potential long snapper just to see whether he could do it or not. Because it is the idea with having 53 men, you can only suit up, I believe, 46 for game day anyway. So you can only have that limited bunch. And having 22 of them as already being the starters and probably having 3 special teams as well. That means you've only really got
I think they also look back at what guys did in college and what guys did in high school, and guys like Crabtree who's played a little bit of quarterback. You know, right. Traditionally, you know, we see a lot of the punter is the emergency quarterback, which again is ridiculous. If you get to that point, you're in trouble. I mean, it would seem to me that you would be carrying 3 quarterbacks no matter what. At least having a quarterback on the practice squad, having 2 quarterbacks active every Sunday, and then having like we're talking about a skill position, maybe a wildcat type of guy, a running back that can do what Darren McFadden was able to do, so that even if it comes down to it, okay, we're going to have to switch our offense, we're going to have this guy run and scramble around and do some different things. Quarterback to me just seems like a position, unlike long snapper, where you want to have a tremendous amount of depth. You know what I mean? And you don't want the depth to be a guy that played quarterback in high school. I mean, you want it to be a guy that's, at least played some college quarterback, preferably, someone like Terrell Pryor, who's an all-around athlete. Again, I don't want to start the Pryor discussion, but somebody like that is an athlete that can come in and can do some things with his legs and do some things with his arm. He's again, an emergency quarterback is not a guy that you're looking to play 6 or 7 games. He's an emergency quarterback. He's got to get you through the game. And potentially, depending on the injuries, he may have to get you through 2 games, but it should never, except for those freak seasons where, the starter goes down and then, 2 weeks later the backup goes down, and you know what I mean? And, right. Exactly. And then you bring in somebody and he goes down.
And let's face it. I mean, how many times have we seen a long snapper go down and there be a real situation? It was kind of I don't want to call it a fluke thing because I don't want to jinx the team. And then we're watching them next year, and the minute Kondo goes down, I'm running, I'm hiding, right? Like, I can't believe I said that, but I mean, there's 32 teams in the NFL, and this rarely happens. So. They usually don't play often. But Autumn Wind, great question, great conversation. For those who are just joining in, maybe they just hit the broadcast, the live broadcast, we are doing our after show. We just dropped our pilot episode to the Wheel to Win broadcast. And we have a phone number if you guys want to call in and talk about the show if you watched it already, or ask anyone on the panel here a question. And that phone number is 805-907-9192. That's 805-907-9192. 9192. We'd love to hear from you guys if you guys are watching. So, has there been any comments? Did anybody see any comments down below in the section?
I don't. I'm trying to man the phone line here. I'm getting a couple of emails.
Just while you have a look at them, I was just going to make the point, Pirate, that
we got another call. We got another call coming through, guys.
Okay, cool.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Where are you calling from? Hang on, I'm sorry. 1 second, caller. We're still trying to figure out the soundboard. Okay, caller, what is your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Raider Jamie. I'm from Iowa.
Raider Jamie from Iowa's on the line.
What's up, brother?
Not much. I just watched the first broadcast of your guys. Loved it.
Appreciate that.
Hey, Raider Jamie, you were the one that joined me on the Fallout shelter a couple of weeks ago, correct?
Yes, I am. Yes, I was.
Hey, what's up, brother?
Not much. I had a question about the offensive line.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you guys think this might be our best offensive line since maybe back in the 70s when John Madden was coaching?
Who wants to go ahead and take that? We've done a lot of talking about this offensive line, and I wanted to get something in there because part of the episode that we did that we didn't put up really talked about the depth I think that we have on this offensive line. I've been a big proponent. Again, I'm going to love Carlos Joseph, and it's a great pick. I think he's going to turn the secondary around. I think he's got range, athleticism. But I wanted Jack Conklin, man. I wanted a big nasty. I thought we built something in the middle of this line that is just going to be intimidating, dominating, and like you said, Art Shell and Gene Upshaw, and even Otto and Bueller, that left side of that line was just a solid line. We're more of a interior, like, center to guard beast. I don't know if you look last year at Penn as the season wore on, I think he kind of wore down. I don't know if that's a permanent thing or if it's going to be something that's a little more was a little more about the fact that there were a lot of guys hurt and being moved around and some inconsistencies. But I think from an interior perspective, I think this may be the best offensive line the Raiders have ever had. From an interior perspective, again, and I know we've had some great interior lines, but I think these guys have the ability to be something really, really, really special. And if Menelik Watson can produce, I mean, if he could just give us what Austin Howard gave us last year for a full year, because he's nastier than Howard. He has more ability than Howard. I think this could be something really, really exciting. Guys?
Yes, man. Since the days of Art Shell and the boys up there, I mean, the list goes on of all the great Hall of Famers we have from our offensive lines, right? But we were talking, and unfortunately it didn't make the episode, so I'm glad we get to talk about it. But we were talking about Kelechi Osemele playing on the left side instead of the right, and Gabe Jackson moving over. And as much as it is a learning curve for Gabe Jackson, I'm a big component of versatility, and I think this is going to make Gabe Jackson a smaller version of KO. So it's going to really add depth. I believe Gabe Jackson can handle it. I think he will adjust. And if anything happens to Penn, Osemele takes over. Gabe Jackson rotates back over to the left side. He's played it before, and he's solid. And then you plug in a guy like a second-year player like Feliciano. And then you got, like, I'm with Pirate. If you guys watch my videos, I'm a big Menelik Watson supporter. I think he's an ex-boxer. He's played basketball. He's played soccer. I mean, this guy is a straight athlete. He's got power in his hands. He plays with that nastiness. And if he can stay healthy, man, I think he's going to be the biggest difference, too, on this offensive line. And he's backed up by a guy named like Austin Howard, who, maybe we didn't jump on here every week and start rooting for Howard, but he played solid, and he did a really good job. So as a depth piece, I mean, it just all fits together nicely. This offensive line has a chance to definitely be as great as the one in the 70s. And as long as we got the right running back there to really make it shine, and quarterback and wide receivers matchup, this offensive line will be talked about. I guarantee it'll be top 3 this year, no matter what. And I can't wait to hear Lion's word on this, because I know he's a big Menelik Watson guy, right, Lion?
Oh yeah, I mean, guy from the UK. It's sad to see him have a load of injuries, and everyone, I think, in the Raider Nation does hope he comes back stronger than ever from them. But this can be one of the. I mean, I'm not as qualified as you two are to speak about the past greats. I mean, I probably wasn't even born around that time, but the potential in this O-line, if you compare it to the rest of the league, it truly only competes with Dallas. And everyone has picked up Dallas over the last couple of years as being the best offensive line in the league. Let me tell you, and let me tell the nation right now, this line can be as good. This line can be as good from the perspective of being able to protect Derek Carr, from having the mentality of the Raiders, that aggressiveness, that nastiness, as well as the ability to run block and actually pass block and get to the second level. All 5 players, whether it's Austin Howard starting at right tackle or Gabe Jackson, Rodney Hudson, Kelechi Osemele, Donald Penn, whoever it is, they can all do this to a brilliant degree. And they're all, in their own right, very good players. And I'm very interested to see how the line gels, especially with Gabe Jackson moving to the right-hand side. Because even though we said off there that hopefully it won't be too much of a transition from him, you never really truly know. But we've talked about also the line moving forward. And I know, Pirate, you mentioned you wanted Jack Conklin selected in the first round. I was kind of quite interested to see whether we were going to go for that kind of route as well. And I want to make the note just looking forward, and I know it is a long way ahead for the 2017 draft, but this is a make or break year for both Menelik Watson and Austin Howard. I think if neither of them truly come forward into their own and show themselves, both are probably going to be gone. I mean, this is the rookie contract year for Menelik Watson. If he has another injury, unfortunately, I think, and it will be sad to say, you could just say he's plagued by them, and he's not going to be able to get a big contract or anything near that. While Austin Howard, I think, is still on a 5-year, $30 million contract, which is a lot for a guy who hasn't really truly been what you want from him so far. So it will be interesting to see it moving forward, but I'm definitely very optimistic, as you said, Knight.
Yes, and I'm real excited. And Jamie, what a great question. And let's keep in mind too, Donald Penn loves Derek Carr, and he loves playing and protecting Derek Carr. Jackson came into the league with Derek Carr. He's got a fondness of him, along with Menelik Watson. And now you got a guy like Kelechi Osemele who brings a whole nother nastiness, and he's going to fit right into this group. So, I mean, if you're Derek Carr, you're smiling year to year, man, knowing that these guys love you, they're going to protect you, and that's a winning formula to me. Any final thoughts on it, Pirate?
Yeah, well, also, let's not forget, I mean, Hudson and Derek Carr have incredible chemistry. I mean, Derek Carr started struggling when Hudson got injured, right? So once that pressure started coming up, you know, and we've tried to put other centers, you know, in there to play that position, but, you know, unfortunately, they were Reggie's guy. It was Reggie's guy who was going to be given a shot anywhere on that offensive line. We got another call coming up. Thank you so much, Jamie, for the call. Hello, caller. You're on. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. My name is Marcus from San Diego, California.
Hey, Marcus. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. Do you have a question for the group?
Kind of in the form of perspective of Southern California Raiders fans.
Yep.
Okay, so like I said, I'm from San Diego, and to start off, I was not with the idea of the Raiders moving to San Diego. A lot of people were, including my family, just for the simple fact that it was in close proximity to Qualcomm Stadium. But my outlook was we would adopt pretty much the culture and the history of the San Diego Chargers, which were pretty much an OG team, just like us as far as the AFL goes. So I wasn't with it. It sounded bad, it smelled bad, it was just bad all around. Now, this brings me to the Las Vegas idea, and I'm warming up to it, to be quite honest, just for the simple fact that the money's there, or supposedly the money's there, and yeah, the commute for sure, you know, because I can rock it 5 hours to Vegas on a Saturday morning, come back Saturday night, or come back Sunday night rather, and be just in time for work on Monday morning. So like I said, I don't know, that was pretty much my perspective. I would have much rather see the Raiders in the state of California, but I'm definitely warming up to the idea of Vegas just for simply financial reasons. And so I don't know how this would work, but how do I say this? So the Golden State Warriors, right? They use neither an actual city name nor a state name in their team name. What would you? We do move to Vegas. What would you guys think of the name of the Silver State Raiders?
Well, you hit on a couple of topics there, and I think that each one of those topics, I think, kind of deserves a little piece of conversation. I think the first thing, I think you brought up something that I've said for a very, very, very long time. Being in Southern California myself, the culture here is soft. The culture here, particularly along the coast, is laid back. And so you get a fan base that is particularly soft and laid back.
There's a lot to do out here, man. There's a lot to do out here.
Absolutely. So if you're not out surfing or in the Gaslamp District or sightseeing or going to Disneyland, even if you're in San Diego, Southern California still offers a lot of different things to do. But more importantly, what I see is fans that at the beginning of the year are excited about the Chargers because we get a lot of Charger news down here.
Yeah.
Now that the Rams are back, hopefully that changes. But primarily it's been the Chargers getting a lot of airtime down here. And what you find is that the fans start out really, really excited, and then by week 3, if they're losing, they're falling off and they're complaining and they're, fighting against their team and F and Spanos this and that and that, So it's just like I said, it's a culture that is laid back. There's so many other things to do. And that was the problem, quite frankly, with the Raiders when the Raiders came to Los Angeles as well. The Bay Area has a lot of things to do as well. There's some beautiful country in Napa. There's Frisco. San Jose is starting to come up. So there's a lot of things to do there, but not as many.
I think you're. I don't want to cut you off tonight, but I think the weather kind of limits you guys, and I think that plays a factor into having stadiums a little more so than down here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But again, the thing is that what we don't want is we don't want the Raiders to leave from a blue collar type of environment, which Oakland has always been and will continue to be, while San Jose is changing into the tech capital of the world. Oakland still is a hardworking place with fans that are hardworking blue collar style of fans. And I, for one, obviously would not want them to move down to San Diego. Vegas, yeah, I'm open to it, I suppose. But like I said, in my opinion, the Raiders belong in California, and in my opinion, they belong in Oakland. Guys?
Absolutely. I'm totally with the hashtag stay in Oakland, and I preach it over here, and you hit the nail on the head as far as especially San Diego being fair weather. It's true, man. They'll check out early. They'll fall back on the Padres, and then they'll fall back on the Bulls now. It's like that.
Absolutely.
Crisis. And as far as their stadium situation goes, there's a lot of people just throwing the white flag up. As far as they're tired of hearing about it, they're tired of dealing with it, and they just want to move on because our economy is not the best right now, and the thought of a multi-million-dollar stadium is just nauseating to all the taxpayers down here. But I'm all with the Chargers staying in San Diego, Oakland staying, Raiders staying in Oakland, and things remain the way it is, status quo, I guess. But I wouldn't think you guys too much longer because I'm watching you guys and I like to cut it out a little bit. But the last question I had was, I'm very curious how Raider Lion being thoughts on came to Raider Nation or how that works out, I guess, with the international NFL fans, I guess.
Sorry, what was the question?
Lion, he asked how you became a Raider fan, and he's interested about, since you're international, how did you become a Raider fan, and what makes you a Raider fan?
And access to games. Access to games, that's a big one.
And what type of access to games do you have?
So it's basically been in my family quite a while. My dad's had a big connection all the way back to the LA Raiders, and I think he's even got a very old jersey from there, as I've talked to these guys about. But for myself, it's very tough to come in contact with American football as a sport if you don't kind of follow it generally and like religiously in the UK. I mean, soccer is a big thing over here, and it's very much kind of like soccer as a way of life almost. It's similar to how American football or the NFL is in America. And so for me, it was more the fact of when the Wembley games started to occur and when teams started to come over here and play down in London and consistently on a consistent basis, that's how I truly got into the sport. And I used to love watching the games there, and then I finally got the opportunity to go to one of the games, and it happened to be the Raiders versus Miami. And that was when, even though the Raiders were always on my kind of the sphere, the outside of my knowledge and everything like that, that's when I truly fell in love with the atmosphere, the pre-game stuff, the black hole. I mean, I was literally, with the seating arrangements, everything like that, I was about 3 rows above the black hole, so I got to spend times with Gorilla and everything like that, and it was just an incredible atmosphere and something that I'll never truly forget. But access to games and everything like that, yeah, it's not the easiest for me to jump over to America for a weekend or something. It has to be said. So that is something that in the long term I will plan on doing. But right now, I literally just do have access to watching them, to talking to you guys about them, to talking to the nation via my YouTube, Twitter, and these guys here, and just trying to express my feelings. But yeah, I am young. I can't exactly comment on such things as the moving or anything like that because I don't have the innate connection that some of you guys do have, and some of you guys feel passionately about it, and I don't want to upset anyone there. But yeah, it's just about it is tough being kind of across the ocean and everything like that to stay in heavy contact, but with social media and everything like that today, it definitely does help out. And yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and we love you, brother, man. We're really glad we found this guy.
It's true, man. What happens, the shield transcends worldwide. It's true. I was in the military, and I was stationed in Germany. I went all across Europe, and I met Raider fans all over the place. So it's very much true that that brand transcends worldwide. So that's all I got, fellas. I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm a big fan. I watch you guys all the time. Raider Pirate, very well spoken, and it's good to see you, man. I'm a big fan of you now. And Raider Lion, keep doing your thing. Knight, keep doing your thing. I love you guys. Go Raiders.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marcus. I want to touch base on one of his questions about the Vegas thing. And before we get started, because I know there's a lot of stuff we had to put out of the episode tonight, but we need to give a big shout out to the Raider Nation Faithful on Facebook. The girl that runs that, was very supportive of us this week and promoting us, so we want to give her a big shout out and big love. And we'll go ahead and address her question on Vegas a little bit too, because it's part of it. And you guys touched on a lot of great points, and you're going to get a lot of different views from a lot of different fans. And, San Diego has its culture. Oakland definitely has its culture. And even L.A. has its culture of when the Raiders were there for 12 years. So there's a lot of different ins and outs to this. People have ties to cities, have tied to family ties. There's just so much going on. And me and Pirate share the same thoughts. They're from Oakland, and even in their stint in L.A., I followed them. I was diehard. I was not even in high school when they moved, and I followed them all the way through. And when they came back to Oakland, I invested. Me and my brother have had season tickets for the past 21 years now, and this is something that's always been a part of my life. And even though that stint in L.A. existed, it's always been Oakland, back from 1960 all the way until now. And my whole feeling and my whole thought is to keep the nostalgia alive, keep them in Oakland. But I'm also a realist. I'm one of those fans that you'll talk to that understands that there's politics involved, there's money involved, and when you mix those two, it never always works out the way that you want to. And as much as I want them to stay in California, it really does seem to me that Vegas is the best landing spot for them. I mean, you're talking about a team that struggled financially its whole existence. So, Nevada and Las Vegas is a state that's untouched in sports. The Raiders would have an opportunity to go there, and there's a lot of capital. There's a lot of money flow there. And to give another shout out to the Raider Nation Faithful, she's right. I mean, look, you take trips and you have vacations in Vegas. Why can't you go and watch a game? And for us fans that would unfortunately lose our love of the Raiders out of Oakland, it gives an opportunity to combine the best of both worlds, have a vacation, watch a Raider game. I'm just hoping, I guess the only fear I would have of them being in Vegas is, if you buy and you invest season tickets and you're from out of state, are they going to give you a nice little hotel cut? Can they have some off-base hotel that doesn't have a gambling in it or so? However they want to work it to where fans from out of state can get a good break or a good deal to be able to go to these games. That would be nice. But, first things first, man, stay in Oakland. But if not, stay in California, right? But I don't see that happening now. I mean, I think it really is coming down to Oakland or Vegas. So hopefully the city council members can sit down and figure it out. There was just a report today. They haven't talked or did anything in months. And Al Davis is not Al Davis. He's still on my mind. Mark Davis is fed up, and who wouldn't be after 6 years of just waiting and waiting? I mean, 6 years is a long time. It's to still have nothing and no ground. He's got to have the best interest for the franchise come first, and if that's moving, then us as Raider fans have to just take it for what it is. But always stay in Oakland. I'll always support them in Oakland until the day I have to. Loyalty to the Shield. Anybody else?
Yeah, well, I just... Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was just going to mention the fact that if anybody is thinking that the Vegas market is going to be corrupting or anything like that, or it's going to be a bad decision for Oakland, I think it's quite important to note that some of the NFL owners over the last couple of weeks, I think Robert Kraft has been the main one, has come out and said, look, this is actually quite a good opportunity and could be very good, not only for the NFL generally, but for the Raiders, especially as a place to go, and seeing the Raiders as a business more than a kind of team side, that it could be exceptionally good for them. And it's going to be an interesting point of view, but it seems like a lot of NFL owners are coming on board with the idea of having a team in Vegas generally, and it's a nice kind of backbone for the fans. It's nice to kind of for us to see that it's going to be supported by people, and people can kind of want to help build the organization, say if we ever do move to Las Vegas. But just on the side note there, I think wherever the Raiders go, the nation is going to be in full support. And I don't think that's ever going to be in doubt. And that's just some credit to the nation itself, because it is one of the best organization fan bases probably in the world. And I think that's just brilliant credit to it.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say it's ridiculous. It's kind of funny. You don't like talking about religion or politics, but it's ridiculous. This is almost a political conversation. The NFL is a corrupt, not corrupt in terms of doing anything overtly criminally wrong, but obviously they're corrupted by the mighty dollar, right? So they're looking at the mighty dollar. They have DraftKings and all of this gambling money that's coming in. I mean, it's just millions and millions and millions of dollars that's coming in from gambling, and they're going to kind of sit there and say, hey, we don't want a team in a city where there is gambling, even though they allow games in London where there's plenty of gambling is legal. I'm not an aficionado on the gambling environment. Maybe you might know a little more than that. A little more about that than me, Lion, but I do understand that gambling is legal in London, and it just doesn't make any sense. UNLV's been playing football games there for a very, very, very long time, both basketball and football. And even though those are collegiate sports, it doesn't mean that they're not bringing in millions and millions of dollars, right, annually, right, in the form of betting. So I think it's hypocritical to say, look, we don't want to send a team to a place where there's gambling or gambling can influence. The NFL has basically sold themselves to the gambling establishments, and Vegas has always been a line, has always set the line with sports, and will always set the line with sports. So again, I don't think that that's even a factor. I think it really just kind of boils down to is Mark going to get the permission to do it? And every single day I'm seeing more and more and more and more people talking about it. So hang on, guys. Hello, caller. You're on the air. What's your name and where are you calling from?
It's Raider Jamie again from Iowa.
Hey, Raider Jamie.
I just wanted to hit up on maybe the Las Vegas move if I can.
Sure.
Sitting back and letting everyone do their talking about it.
Sure.
The way I look at it is that if NFL worries about people like maybe messing with the game, paying too off to blow a flag or miss a play, is we got to remember it's not the old Las Vegas where the mafia ran everything. So I think it would be a little different. And like we said, like everyone's saying, Robert Kraft owns a part of DraftKings, and gambling nowadays is not really looked as a bad thing, I think, to a lot of people either.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think gambling has the stigma any more than it used to. I mean, it's a part of life. I think we all take place. We all when the Super Bowl is on, we have our little gambling events, our little boards that we pick numbers on, and pools and things of that nature, and and we know that it's a big moneymaker, like it or not. millions and millions of dollars every Saturday, every Sunday, for every game is trading hands.
Yeah, I mean, gambling hasn't been really illegal since the internet. You know, the internet opens up so many avenues. I mean, you could place bets across seas. You know, where Lion's at, you could still probably. I don't know the ins and outs of it myself because I'm not a big gambler, but you could make bets all the way over there in Vegas probably. I'm sure there's something being ran. They run it out off seas, and it's become just too easy to do at this point. So gambling is definitely not going to be the issue. It really comes down to, you know, is Oakland going to step up, or are they going to let the Raiders walk? And that's really, really what it comes down to. And I know there's a lot of people that feel that Mark Davis should do more to stay, but why do you want to sell and give up a lot of your interest in the team to a place that obviously ain't trying hard enough to show that they want you when he could do it in Vegas? Vegas will take him tomorrow if they can get everything approved. So, I mean, a lot of the times, you know, you want to go with the ones that want you, not the ones who are going to mistreat you. I mean, that's just common sense in life, and that's why I have a hard time with it. That's why my motto is loyalty to the Shield, man, always. Because that's the one thing that's going to last forever in the Raider Nation is our Shield. So that's what I'm going to stand by, regardless.
Okay, folks, we got another call coming through. Caller, you're on air. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is John from San Francisco.
Hi, John.
And I was just calling to talk about the Raiders moving out of the area. How would that impact the 49ers? I'm a 49er fan.
Okay.
And also, what do you guys think about the Chip Kelly offense? Maybe improving Kaepernick's play coming in the second game.
Okay, so it looks like two questions. How will the Raiders potentially moving from Oakland to any of a number of locations affect the 49ers? I would imagine, caller, you're talking about the fan base?
Oh, or just, you know, the traffic area. I mean, I work and I have to drive through Oakland. I work on Sunday. And it's just so, you know, but as a 49er fan, you know, we don't really get along with Raider fans. You know how there was a couple years ago, there was this, you know, stabbing, and now they can't even have preseason games anymore. And it's just, you know, from my standpoint, I just think it would be excellent if they could just get out of the area. It's like, Oakland's not going to make them a stadium. We all know this is the truth. I mean, they're just pushing the envelope farther and farther along.
Well, okay, so there's two questions basically. How will the Raiders move if the Raiders do leave and go to Las Vegas, Los Angeles, San Diego, London potentially, or anywhere else? How will that affect the fan base, including traffic, I suppose, or anybody?
Well, I think being from the area, well, Pirate, you're from there back in the day too. As far as the effect it's going to have on the Niners or the Niner fans, not really much. There's positive and negative. I also work with a Niner fan named the A-Bomb over there on the Fallout Shelter tomorrow night at 8 o'clock if you guys want to tune in on AFS Radio.
Well, that'd be good for this man.
Yeah, and yeah, so call in, buddy. We'll talk about it there tomorrow as well. But at the same time, you know, us old school fans, we understand what it was like before the LA move, and we understand the way it was after. And the nostalgia of what it is to be Raiders and Niners, yeah, that it will hurt the nostalgia, you know, this nostalgia of the Bay Area, the Battle of the Bay, all of that. But as far as the team goes, no, not really. Traffic, no, not really. It, you know, Oakland's coming up and with money on other ends like Pandora and Uber and things like that. So the economy will be fine, and the Raiders just boost it. And it's very unfortunate, but as far as affecting you guys or affecting your guys, or it might help, might get more money because there'll be a lot of fans that probably shift that way. But as far as Chip Kelly goes in the offense, I talk about it once again on the Fallout Shelter. You guys, I don't know how to really feel about Chip Kelly in your offense. All I know is that if you expect Chip Kelly to be what he was in Philly, some of the successes he had, especially offensively, for one, you guys have $55 million still in the cap. That means that shows lack of talent, and you guys just don't have the talent that he had in Philly. I mean, he had Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Maclin, LaShawn McCoy. Darren Sproles. I mean, he made people out of Vic and Foles and Sanchez. And now you're dealing with Kaepernick and Gabbert, who could thrive in his offense. That's the wild card there. But outside of those two players, I mean, and Carlos Hyde, you don't have the receivers that he had, and you don't have the offensive line that he had. So it's going to be interesting. But I see you guys having a down year, but your biggest success will come year 2 if he can get the talent around the organization back then.
Yeah, one of my best friends over here in London, who has been to San Francisco, I think about 5 or 6 times to see the 49ers play, I spoke to him actually 2 days ago about this, and he was literally saying, we may surprise you. And the 49ers, I think, although they are not something that I keep a kind of keen eye on, Blaine Gabbert, I think, could thrive. And it would be nice to see on kind of a personal level, it would be really nice to see him get potentially a chance to show himself and prove himself, considering he wasn't really anything much in Jacksonville. But also the fact that you do have some pieces, I think their defense could be very good eventually.
But you got to keep it in mind. I'm sorry, Lion. You just got to keep in mind, too, they play in the NFC West, and if there's one thing the NFC West is known for, it's defense. The Rams got a great defense, Seattle's got a great defense, and Arizona's got a great defense. So I just think they lack the talent there. I'm sorry, Lion. Go ahead and continue.
Yeah, no, it's fine. No, I was just basically just going to say that I think with Chip Kelly, whichever team he was going to go to, implementing his system, you're always going to have a down year. And I think for the 49ers fans, you've just got to expect that, and don't jump on the hate train too quickly, because I think Chip Kelly is a genius. I think he is a offensive genius, but he hasn't really been given true support or full leeway to actually truly implement his views. But I also just want to mention on the fact of Vegas, it may be a similar situation to what happened with the Browns a couple of years ago, where they went to Baltimore and won, and then came back to Cleveland. I would hate to see that, where the Raiders leave Oakland, go and win in Las Vegas, and then come back to Oakland, because it would just be depressing for the fans in Oakland and everything like that.
It's happened. It's happened.
Yeah, especially the Raiders suddenly just on a rise and suddenly actually spiking on the upward trend. It would be sad to see that, especially for the loyal fans in Oakland who have been wanting this team to succeed for decades.
Yeah.
Hey guys, listen, I gotta run here, so I'm gonna shut down the phone line. But I do have something to leave here for you guys. I have 2 questions that have come in, and so I'll be back. It's Friday night, so maybe I gotta go. I gotta see my daughter do a little talent show. But if you guys are around, Lion, maybe you might not be around because it's late there. But I should be back.
I'm gonna go to bed soon.
Yeah, I'll be back in an hour or so night. So I don't know if you'll still be around or not. But I gotta go. It was great. It was a blast. Thanks to all the callers, the people that have messaged through email. The closing question here is, I put my glasses on to take them off. Do you think that we should be concerned about the scuffles in training camp? Every time I watch videos of training camp, it seems like we've become a real brotherhood. But then I get caught off guard when we have Orr versus Feliciano, Alexander versus Moore, Asamele versus Ward, Kalechi and Jihad actually throwing blows at each other. My second question is, how dominant do you think the Mack, Irvin, and Smith trio will really be? My favorite rotation trio will have to be when the Giants had O.C. Tuck and Jason Pierre-Paul, or switching out JPP when they had Strahan. Both trios won a Super Bowl. Do you think our trio could be as dominant or even better? Thanks. And this comes from Yaddy TV. Unfortunately, I didn't get a name or a location. So I have to go. Once again, guys, it was a pleasure. We will hook up. We'll hook up again. And I had a great time.
Yeah,
ladies
can't
and
wait to do this
gentlemen.
next week.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, the Raider Pirate, co-founder of the Will to Win. Thank you, brother, and all your work, man. We love you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, brother, man. Okay, fellas, take care.
All right. That's unfortunate. We had to lose Pirate, guys, but we're still here. We're going to answer those 2 questions. Lion, I'll go ahead and start with you. Let's go ahead and address the scuffles in camp one first.
Do you want my point of view on that?
Yes, please.
to be totally honest, I wasn't too. I know this is probably bad to say. I wasn't too surprised by this. I wasn't too shocked by it. I wasn't too worried by it in the sense, even though it's bad to see kind of the team bond being broken in that aspect. I think you have to bear in mind that these guys are competing not only for their jobs and their lives in a sense, but to be part of the team and be part of the organization. And these events are always going to be inevitable in the situation. I think you had Leonor and John Feliciano. Those are two guys who are probably going to be backups this year, probably competing. You already know Leonor's got a fiery temper. And with the O-line as it is, the O-line is such a tight bond. And I was going to mention earlier with the kind of Donald Penn story and saying how he's going to protect Carr and everything. When the Geno Smith fight came out last year, Donald Penn and a couple of other of the O-lines kind of mentioned it not only on Twitter, but also in interviews. The fact that if that happened to Derek Carr, whoever did that to Derek Carr wouldn't even be able to leave the change room. He'd be in that much pain and broken by that much. And there's that bond and unity, I think, in the O-line there. But the other one was Kelechi Osunwale and Jihad Ward, which I mentioned earlier in the fact that Ward got the better of Osunwale, I think, two times in a row. And I think it was two kind of potential like dummy sack plays. And I think that was just Osunwale attacking back. And I think that's maybe just the competitiveness of these kind of players just coming out and just going, I don't want to lose, I don't want to do that. But on a general side note, you always want to keep this to just, this is your team, this is the bond, this is the family. Even though I said, and I'm slightly being hypocritical here and saying how we shouldn't be too overly concerned by it, because I think that Jack Del Rio will have made a bigger situation, not to the media about it. He would have made a bigger note to the team and in team interviews and everything that this is unacceptable. To see that people are having this competitive edge, but let's just try to keep it to Sunday or Thursday night or whenever the games are, because let's just try to keep it there and just keep it on a base level there, because we don't want to see players getting injured with each other or something like that, or somebody breaking their jaw because they've been stupid in a training session.
Yes, man, and Yeti TV, shout out to you, brother. That's a good question. I really want to say to you know, let's keep in mind this there's a combination. When I heard these stories break out, there's a combination in my head that just rings. And number one, we got a young football team. And they're fighting for positions. They're fighting to build their names. You know, even guys like Mac, Carr, and Amari Cooper, our three biggest young names, they got a lot to prove still. I mean, they haven't really reached their potential yet. So they're out there fighting as well. There's a lot of hype with our offensive line that's big and strong. Then you got a guy like Jihad Ward. He's got a lot to prove. There's a lot of people underestimating his skill set. So he's real fiery. You put on the fact that you got guys like Jack Del Rio, Ken Norton, Rod Woodson, Marcus Robinson, Mike Tice. These are all big physical ex-football players, man. They're yelling, they're screaming. The hype is just like, they got the music playing, everybody's adrenaline's flowing. It's a recipe for this kind of stuff, man. They're football players. It's a violent sport. And even though they're not in pads, they're still hitting each other. I mean, come on, it's a mono against mono, especially in the trenches, man. We don't give enough credit to the trenches a lot. It's about the flashy players, but man, it's rough in there. But all that said, I want this to be the focal point of everything that's happened. It's the way that Jack Del Rio handled it. You know, he had to face the media, and he said exactly what you want to hear, which they're trained to do that as well, right? But he said, I took it as a learning lesson. We don't do that here. There's a lot of young players. Let's take advantage of this. I said we don't do that. This is how we conduct ourselves. This is how we do it. And it should simmer down. And once they get the pads on and everything settles in, I think it'll be fixed. They're young. They're fiery. So at one side of it, like Lion said, you don't want broken jaws. You don't want feelings hurt. But you want that competitiveness, though, on the other end of it. And that's going to – there's a saying, okay, I don't want to get too much into why I know this, but I went to counseling for some years, okay? Not because I'm crazy or anything. Me and my brother had some issues from our childhood. And, you know, there's something that rings out to me. You know, they say when siblings at a young age, they fight, it's normal. And every time a sibling fights with each other, they're building a bond. They come closer. And, you know, when I was younger, and I never understood that. I mean, all the way through like high school, me and my brother we couldn't see eye to eye. And once my grandfather, I'll never forget it. My grandfather passed away, and he's to those who know the story, he's the reason why I'm a Raider fan. He passed away, in his chair at home. And I was sitting on one side of him, my brother was sitting on the other side of him, and we just kind of looked at each other, and it was just that moment that we shared right then and there. My son was getting ready to be born. He was born. I was in the custody battle. Or excuse me, no, he wasn't born yet, but I was getting ready to have him born. Anyways, my brother just kind of looked at me, and we just kind of connected eyes. And from that moment forward, we just kind of realized that we're so much alike. Me and my brother, our interests are the same. Everything that we grew up watching as a kid. My brother is probably the closest person to me in my life, besides my kids, obviously. And it's just a crazy thing. So when I'm going to take that translation a little bit into football to say these guys might be fighting and scuffling, it's OTAs, but they're building a bond. As long as that Jack Del Rio, Ken Norton, these guys go in there, they handle it and they control it and take care of it, don't let it get out of hand. These guys are going to become close from it, man. And they're going to be fighting for each other on Sunday. So for that, I'm excited. Yeti, I hope that answers your question. The second part of that question I like even more. Well, there's two parts to it. So let's start with the first one, Lion. The first one is, what do you think about the combination of Mac, Bruce Irvin, and Aldon Smith, and what are you looking forward to that? How good do you think these three can be?
Oh, you can see by the smile on my face, I'm excited for that. I am very, very excited seeing all those three men on the field. I mean, they are beasts in their own right. But I think it's just to put like a different spin on it. The Raiders are built for the anticipation of even not having Aldon Smith. I think Shalik Calhoun is considerably underrated right now, especially coming out of the draft. And I think we'll be doing a profile on him next week in the video, so people please stay tuned for that. But he is a 3-time All-American. He's the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, I think, at one point. He is an actual beast. And if the Raiders can harness his talents, that is going to be quite scary. But with Aldon Smith coming back in November and you got to the back end of the season, really potentially going to see what he can do and what damage he can wreak. And especially having Bruce Irvin being able to have the pass rush, I think he's going to be given a bigger free reign. Probably in the weak side, generally a weak outside linebacker or rover or nickel or whatever you want to call it. But it's going to be very interesting to see how this team gels and how it actually can work together, because everyone knows on defense our cornerstone is Khalil Mack. And that is kind of like any team that's going to be looking to game plan for us or anything like that will start off, right, how are we going to be able to stop Khalil Mack? How are we going to be able to stop the Raiders' defensive best player on the team? And he is the best player on our entire team, regardless of position and position value. Khalil Mack is probably the best player on the whole entire Raiders roster at the moment. And you know he's going to get game planned against. But having the combination of Aldon Smith and Bruce Irvin there, it's going to be very interesting to see whether teams are going to still double team Khalil Mack and then only try to put one guy on, Aldon Smith or Bruce Irvin, or even chip more slide protections away, or do whatever they're going to try to do. Having the combination of guys coming from both sides and probably 2 from 1s, you're probably going to get Aldon Smith probably playing more of a defensive end role, especially when we're in our hybrid 4-3, but when we're in a base 3-4, you're probably going to get Khalil Mack coming down to play defensive end, much like he did against the Broncos where he got his 5 sacks. And then you've got Aldon Smith and Bruce Irvin coming off the edges. That could be a deadly mix and a deadly combo to account for. I'm not even going to put a number of sacks next to it, but it could be just something that the league hasn't really seen before, because you can't compare any team to having 3 pass rushers of that caliber.
Yeah, the greatest thing is this is what excites me the most. Last year at the beginning of the season, and it took a while for it really, and it never really even got going. And that's when we had Khalil Mack and Aldon Smith on either side. And every once in a while we float them over on the same side, and it produced okay, but there was a lot of other issues. There's a lot of other key opponents to this I'll get to. But for me, when you look at the lineup, and now we're not going to get the full big 3 until November, so we got to keep that in mind too. But once Aldon Smith is implemented back into this system, you're going to be able to see Khalil Mack on one side, which they already know they got to try to double team him, chip him, do whatever they can. He's already proven that he could beat that. Then on the other side, you have the combination, right? Bruce Irvin, Alden Smith lined up over each other. One's dropping back, or are they both coming? And you got to deal with that madness. Because, I mean, Bruce Irvin is going, guys, I ranked him as my most impactful player on defense because for two reasons. He's one great athlete, okay? That's number one. Number two, you know, over in Seattle, he wasn't used enough. And they used him in a way where if you're a football player, you want to hit people and you want to get after the quarterback. And he didn't get a lot of opportunities, but he did well with the opportunities he did have. Now they're saying, okay, man, we're bringing you in. You're going to be a pass rusher. You're going to go get that quarterback. This guy is going to be so hungry. He's got something to prove. It's not like a rookie coming in and doing it. This guy's a 4-year vet, man. He's hungry. He's a Super Bowl champ. He can be a part. He's a leader. The combination is insane when you really try to break it down. And they could also float. So they could run Alden over Khalil, Bruce over Khalil, and run the other one on the opposite. There's so many combinations. But the key to all this, guys, even those are our big three, is guys like Jihad Ward, okay? Jihad Ward and Mario Edwards Jr., if he's healthy. These guys are got to generate the pass rush up the middle. We lacked the pass rush up the middle last year. So that's why they brought in Ward. That's what they want to get from a guy like Mario Edwards Jr. One of those two guys generate the pass rush up the middle and not give the quarterback a clean pocket. It's going to force them to the outside. And lo and behold, you got guys like Alden Smith, Bruce Irvin, and Khalil Mack waiting for you on the outside. That's what's going to set this pass rush apart from last year, is getting the penetration in the middle. And that's what – because Dan Williams, Justin Jelly Ellis, and Stacey McGee, they're road blockers, man. They're going to cover the gaps. They're going to block it to where the running back doesn't have a lane. But they just couldn't get enough pressure on the quarterback up the middle. And the times that we did is when our defensive ends thrived. When Khalil Mack got his 5 sacks, let's keep in mind, Brock Osweiler had a problem of holding onto the ball too long. That helped Mack a lot. It couldn't slow him down long enough.
But this is where you get the combination of a good secondary is helping out a pass rush and a pass rush is helping out the secondary. Correct. And everyone is talking about how, our big three and everything like that. And I was going to mention it just after you there, but you've already just kind of done it.
Yeah.
Bear in mind that Mario Edwards Jr. Pivotal. He was pivotal last year in getting roughly, breaking down tape of the Raiders from last season, roughly about 5 sacks of Khalil Mack, because quarterbacks weren't able to step up in the pocket, which means Mack was still able to bend the edge, keep the tackle with one hand, and just get the sack, because the quarterback couldn't maneuver in any way, shape, or form. And just on that side note, talking about a secondary, we've now not only got Carl Joseph, who, yes, he's coming back from injury, and I've already spoken about in my own videos on my own channel, how about we need to kind of tamper down or just keep our expectations at a minimum for him right now. He is coming back from injury. Let's just let him get completely healthy before we start ramping up to the heights that we've expected with Amari Cooper and Khalil Mack. But also the fact of the additions of Sean Smith, combined with David Amerson and TJ Carey, as well as Reggie Nelson, you're going to be able to see a lot more guys coming into our team, and the pass rush are going to have more time to get to the quarterback. And with the potent three that we talked about, it might just be a toxic mix that is able to produce on a very high level. But it is something to bear in mind that you look at the best teams in the league or the best pass rushers, and I'm sad to say it was the Denver Broncos last year, is probably the best defense. And I would even argue one of the best defenses ever for definitely this modern era. And you look at them, why were they successful? You've not only got Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware coming off the edge, but think who you had up the center. You had Derek Wolfe and Malik Jackson, who were pass-rushing interior players who could play not only at 3-4 defensive end or potentially move inside to 3 technique or even 1 technique. Or Malik Jackson even played 0 technique at times. But they could generate that pass rush from the inside to help Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware on the outside. But it's just, it all culminates not only just having those 3 guys on the outside, because you've got to remember there are 11 players on the field at any one time. And 11 players on defense or offense are pivotal. And you can't have one player down, you can't have one player slacking, or the whole system will shut down. And so to have this pass rush that we want and hope for, you really do have to have a lot of people helping out from different areas. And I think it is very exciting to see the Oldham Smith, Khalil Mack and Bruce Evan all on one team together. But do just bear in mind that other players have to help out to generate the sacks. People have to fulfill their roles and their jobs to help out the Khalil Macks of this world and to help him get the production that he needs, because he can't be a one-man wrecking ball on his own. Because if he is the only player doing that, he's just going to get double teamed with a back or a tight end or whatever. And I even saw at one time he was getting triple teamed, which I thought was absolutely brilliant in respect to a second-year player of the highest standard.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the biggest key. Sorry, guys, hold on. I'm trying to see if we get some more questions too. And now it won't pause. There we go. There's just so much that's going on with that, and it starts with the defensive line in the middle, our tackles. But it's going to be exciting. If you guys are just tuning in, this is the first episode of the after show from the World to Win broadcast, where tonight we aired our first pilot episode. So if you guys haven't got a chance to watch that yet, once we go off live, I'm not asking you guys to leave us. Stay with us. But go watch the pilot episode. It's a short version of what's to come, but we're really excited about it, and we're glad that you're joining us here live. If you're here live, you guys know me struggling with my eyes. If you guys want to email a question in so I can get it on the tablet, you guys can email us at thew2w@gmail.com, all lowercase, thew2w@gmail.com, and I will check that to get some questions from you guys. But while I still have you here, we're joined by Raider Lion, who has a YouTube channel of his own where he puts out content. Please find him and sub him up. I did leave a description in the pilot episode for him to sub to his channel, or you can just go to your search box, look up the Raider Lion, and show him some love. He's representing the Raider Nation all the way from the UK. He even went to sleep and woke up. It's in the middle of the night for him right now. What time is it over there, Lion? Like 3 o'clock?
3:30. Yeah,
it's 3:30 in the morning in the UK, and we got Raider Lion right here for us, broadcasting some Raider knowledge, man. And I really, really appreciate that, brother.
Hey, I'm loyal. I'm loyal to this. I'm not backing down. I really want to do this. It's great for the nation. We've got a loyal fan base, and they deserve top quality stuff. And well, with you and Pirate, they're definitely getting that.
I really appreciate that, brother. Why don't you go ahead and tell them about your channel a little bit and how long you've been doing it and how you got into it?
Yeah, no. So I literally only set up the channel about 4 months ago. Well, it was about eight months ago I about set it up. But I really started posting regular content every 2, 3, 4 days about 4 months ago, especially with the lead up to the draft. I absolutely love the draft and the fairness of it. And coming from England, everyone will know that soccer is the main sport over here. And it was tough for me to get into it. But and I spoke about how I got into the sport earlier with when a caller asked me specifically. But yeah, it's just something that I'm very passionate about the sport. And even though I can't relate to the knowledge that Knight or Pirate has innately, I really just try to provide a good opinion, to provide good content, to provide good discussions for the nation just generally, so that we can learn about our team, learn where the strengths, weaknesses are, and critique it in the right way, and don't seem overly worried about certain situations or anything like that. But yeah, I just try to propose real stuff. I don't try to scaremonger or anything like that, but it's just nice content that everyone can talk about, everyone can relate to, and everyone can actually have a discussion and just have a real talk to it. If anybody leaves a comment to my video, I always try, and I've made sure I get back to every single comment that anybody ever leaves. And I think one morning I woke up with about 45 comments, and it took me hour and a half to get through all of them, but I make sure I do, and I always want to reply to your opinions. So any comments, questions, or anything like this, not only to us right now, but whenever, we'll always try to get back to them. We'll always try to respond to you guys and help out and help shape your opinions as well as our own.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and I'm gonna let you know right now, just coming from a long lifetime fan, I've been watching this team, man, since I was a really, really little boy. So, I mean, I get a lot of what I know just from years and years of following it, all the ups and downs. I was young once. I was running out there saying the craziest stuff out there to people and predicting things I didn't know what I was talking about and stuff. But to see a young fan like you, brother, that comes from the UK, that's a new fan of this, you got a lot of great insight. You got a lot of knowledge. You got a lot of good things to say, man. And I really appreciate you taking the time and doing this, man. It's pretty amazing stuff. And I hope everybody shows him the love. If you guys have questions, please email us at the W2W@gmail.com. That's the W2W@gmail.com. Lion, if you want, you could also go to the video live, just mute it and see if there's any questions there. And you can read off the questions if you don't mind.
Just see if I can see anything.
Yeah, you could just see if there's any comments down below.
No, we've answered all the comments that are there thus far.
Okay.
So I just wondered, do you want to bring up anything in particular? I mean, I want to get your, actually, I'll ask your opinions on the state of the Raiders secondary at the moment. Do you think that it's good enough going forward? Do you think there was a slight shock that we didn't potentially add another cornerback in the second or third round to kind of help out David Amerson or TJ Carey? Or do you think that it can support itself, especially with the safety position? Because there are some question marks about it so far.
I really believe our secondary has improved hand over fist. What people need to realize is last season, our cornerbacks were weak. They were weak because we had a lot of guys that did a lot of more press man stuff. They really didn't. If you look at the struggles of guys like Hayden, he can't find the ball. He can't get his hips turned around. TJ Carey had to play multiple positions. And when we brought David Amerson in, David Amerson has the skill set of being a big physical guy that could block you up front, but he understands the zone concept. That's why he deflected a lot of balls. Now, what we did is we brought in a guy in the free agency like Sean Smith, who is a older, more polished version of David Amerson. So it's going to be great for Amerson having a guy like Smith around, and they're going to complement each other on the outside. So they're going to be really good in the zone. And the biggest fear is people say, because Sean Smith got beat deep a lot last year in Kansas City, he's not going to be put in those situations a lot. We didn't get beat deep a lot last year with the cornerbacks that we did have. We played well. But this frees up guys like Hayden and Carey to play the slot. We moved Keith McGill over to safety, which he played in college, and he was converted over to a corner in college and drafted a corner. So, now we're basing it off staying healthy, right? But we still got guys like Nico Thorpe back there, TJ Carey. There's a lot more depth than I think people realize. And the one thing that I give Reggie McKenzie and Jack Del Rio, the coaching, the whole staff that was in the war room, yeah, they could have drafted a corner, another one late to maybe develop or what have you. But if I talk a lot this season about system fits, and if you're looking at a board, whether the guy's a good athlete or not, if you're looking at it and you say, you know what, man, he's good, but we already have some guys that we try to change how they play and try to make them. We're already working with those guys to make them a system fit. We've got two guys in Smith and Amerson. And as far as our safety position goes, Nate Allen becomes a depth piece now, which would be great. He might get some more starting time until Joseph is fully ready. But you bring in a guy like Reggie Nelson, who, is a star in his own right. He's worked with Jack Del Rio
I don't know whether anybody can actually still see the video. There seems to be something actually problem with the connection for Red Knight, so I don't know whatever happened there, but sorry for everyone who experienced that. But he was just talking about the secondary and what's actually going on so far at the moment, and I'll just follow up on what he's saying. I think that at the moment, and I'll work through the whole team generally, I think that's just, especially moving into training camp and with everything like that, it's going to be very interesting to see what is actually going to happen going forward, especially the kind of position battles that will occur in the coming weeks and months, and it is going to be interesting to see what truly happens in that aspect. But secondary wise, you're looking at us having a kind of a very strong unit in that aspect, potentially a lot stronger than what we've got from last year, and it's going to be interesting to see, especially moving forward, combined with the fact that you've got TJ Carey, Sean Smith, and David Amson, three guys who are exactly what kind of Ken Norton Jr. wants for his defensive system. They're big guys, 6 foot and above, able to run with any receiver and able to compete on a very high level. Sean Smith is a very big addition that we had in free agency, and he's going to be a guy who's going to be able to come in and compete straight away and be that number one corner that we've been missing for quite a few years now. We hope DJ Hayden would be, but you're looking at TJ Carey coming in now and potentially even playing a backup role, which isn't what you truly expected. But the competition between David Amson and TJ Carey is going to be exceptionally interesting to see who kind of prevails in that situation, who truly gets on top, and who kind of comes out the best overall for the whole situation and problem there. But just on a side note there, I do hope DJ Hayden, regardless of what people say, I don't wish on any player to play badly, and I hope that DJ Hayden comes back strong this year. I know it's very easy to label people busts straight away, and it's easy to call them busts and failures, and they don't fulfill the standards and desires that you hope for, because every team has high expectations of a first-round pick. But I do hope, just for his sake, that the guy comes back and plays hard, even though he may not, and it may be sad to see him leave at the end of this year because we haven't picked up this fifth-year option. It will be interesting to see whether he's able to come back and truly compete for that starting role or just for a backup role even. But our secondary is something that's going to be, I'm going to be keeping an eye on throughout the whole year, not only with the depth-wise of it, considering we haven't drafted anyone of significant profile in the last 2 years, but the fact that we have picked up a few guys off free agency in the last year, and also the fact that David Amson was visibly strong and confident and competent last year a lot of the time whenever he was on the field. And the kind of the unit on the whole, it needs to gel together. Carl Joseph, as I mentioned earlier, needs to kind of show that he is worthy of the first round pick and he's worthy of being selected 14th overall, as a lot of people were kind of debating whether it was a slightly too high, whether it was we'd reached a little bit in that certain aspect. But I think the nation has faith in him, and we all need to have faith in him in the sense that because at times he was notably probably one of the best college safeties, and if he can replicate the kind of form that he's got, you are going to be seeing, and I'm throwing this name out there just as a generalization because of size, speed, and play type, you're going to see an Earl Thomas at the back end of our defense, someone who can really help out and contribute straight away and have a big impact in games and show himself as that kind of true run stopper, not only able to stop those big plays, stop those plays and limit them to 6-7 yards instead of 20, but able to help out over the top, make plays on the ball, get interceptions. And I'm very interested. I mean, I've even got my Carl Joseph jersey. It's already been ordered. I mean, it's been delivered to me, I think, in the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to be chuffed with that. Hopefully he doesn't change numbers. That would be a slightly awkward situation if he does that. But because I nearly ordered the Amari Cooper 15 jersey last year, and that was going to be a slight problem if that came through. They suddenly swapped to 89. And it would have been unique in the sense that would have been a bonus. But our defense generally is something that I'm very interested in seeing. I'm a defensive-minded guy. I do play American football over here for my University of College. It's deemed in America. And I'm very interested to see, through looking and analysing the Raiders defence, what actually works. We've just talked over the last 20 minutes about how the fact that the combination of Alden Smith, Khalil Mack and Bruce Irvin may be a truly deadly combo, and it's going to be very interesting to see how that truly works out and how that truly affects teams, especially in our division. As Jack DeReer and Ken Norton Jr. have spoken to the media about, it is important first and foremost to win in our division and to make sure that we do win. And so building that strong defense and being able to stop the Denver Broncos offense, I think it was an anticipation that Brock Osweiler